Hello and welcome to this feature interview. I'm Emily Carrier. The state of the economy is in the news every time you turn on the TV. But who can you trust? What do all those numbers and trends mean? Does the unemployment rate affect graduating college students? Should I pay attention to these numbers when I'm looking to invest in a home down the road? What kind of jobs are expected to be in demand looking forward? Here to answer all these questions for us, I've invited new Emory and Henry Professor of Macroeconomics, Dr. Deborah Spencer. Dr. Spencer, thank you for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Now, I'd like you, if you can, to describe the current state of the economy as a macroeconomist.
Okay. Well, actually, it's looking better, I think, as far when you look at the numbers. And being a student in my macro class, we've been tracing kind of the core variables all semester, those being inflation, growth, and unemployment. And they're all giving us more positive signs than in the past. To understand that, I think we need to look back for a minute and see where we've come from. 7 years ago, we began what we call now the Great Recession. And the rhetoric, the label, I guess I should say, is a direct reference to the Great Depression because this has been the deepest and most severe recession we've been in since the Great Depression. It started roughly this time in 2007 in the financial sector. So this was unique and similar to the Great Depression in the sense that it's the only recession since the Great Depression that was also started by a financial sector crisis. And so when you look at the evolution of our economy since then, over the past 7 years, at the heart of our recession, unemployment went as high as 10%. And 2008, there was 4 quarters between 2008 and 2009 where we actually had negative growth. So our economy was shrinking. And as that happens, obviously unemployment rises. And so we've declared that recession over. The Great Recession ended, they say, in June of 2008. There's not a perfect science to ending our recessions, but economists have given us that date. Since then, we've been digging out of this. We've been growing very slowly, but we have been growing. People say that we've got sluggish growth, and we have what has been a trend really in recent business cycles, which is we have a jobless recovery, at least initially. And you saw pictures in our class of a recession ends. It's not unlikely to see unemployment rise for maybe even as long as a year and a half. So, and we've had that phenomena as well. So what's good about today is the 10% high in unemployment that we saw during the recession is down now to 5.8%. We've watched unemployment fall just since the semester started from 6.2 to 5.8. That's good news. We've seen 2 consecutive quarters of positive growth and very strong growth. We had 4.2% second quarter. We've got 3.5 third quarter. And we've got inflation that's under control. So those are all good signs. We're certainly not back to the unemployment rate we had before the recession. And that we started digging behind the facts a little bit, that the unemployment rate is consistent with 9 million people unemployed. That's a lot of unemployed people. And one last step further behind that number, we know about a third of those unemployed have been long-term unemployed, and that's a problem for us as economists. Those are people who have been unemployed for 27 plus weeks, and so we worry. The longer the duration of unemployment, we worry the effects that has, not just on the economy, but on individuals and families, because that's a hardship.
Of all those numbers you just gave to me, what do you see as the greatest challenge for economists looking forward?
Well, actually, I think the challenge is with our growing inequality. So I don't really see it so much there's a debate right now about growth and where our growth rate's going to go, and are we going to be able to grow as an economy as fast as we need to. I think that's intimately tied into our distribution of income. We've seen more and more of the gains of our productive work going to 10% richest households. And that's not a recipe for a stable, growing economy. If 90% of households can't afford to buy what we make, you've seen the model, that's a recipe for instability. So I think we have to address that. And economists are starting to do that, interesting enough. They haven't always been very good at talking about inequality. It's been popularized by the French economist this summer in his book, Capital in the 21st Century. And whether we agree with everything that's in that book, I haven't finished it yet. It's pretty thick. Putting that topic out into the debate, I think, is a good thing.
Well, Dr. Spencer, when people look out into the media, say, where is a trustworthy place to get information about the economy?
That's a great question. When it comes to just grabbing the latest statistic, whether it's unemployment, inflation, growth, all of the government websites are really good places. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Census Bureau, and the Bureau of Economic Analysis all have cutting edge, nice statistics. The trick really comes when you're looking at how do I interpret that data. And that's when our economic philosophies and our political philosophies kick in, and that's when it really becomes important to know what your source is. So Wall Street Journal is going to give you the interpretation of finance. I like to read lots of sources because I like to know what various sectors of society are looking at and thinking. So the American Prospect is a good journal to read for kind of left of center analysis of the data. I like to look at dollars and cents for a more progressive analysis of what's going on in the economy. The Economic Policy Institute online is kind of a labor-backed organization, so they interpret all of your data from the perspective of the worker. So I look at all of those. I think that's important.
Well, Dr. Spencer, on a lighter note, this is your first semester at Emory and Henry. What do you think of our community? How are you transitioning?
Oh, well, it's wonderful. I mean, I grew up in Roanoke, and so not too far from here. And so Emory's always been on my radar. My little brother went here and is a graduate from here. So I've been here a few times. He was actually in a play once, and I think he had 3 lines, but I trucked down here to watch him. But it's a wonderful, welcoming community, very warm place to be, and I'm just thrilled to be here.
Well, be sure and thank your brother for those 3 lines since it brought you here. And thank you for being on set with us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
This has been your EHCTV feature interview with Chair of the Economic Department, Dr. Deborah Spencer. I'm Emily Carrier.